Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's live stream. If you are new around here, my name's Lee Everett. I have been an estate agent in the north of Essex for over 20 years. I think it's 21 years now. And on this live stream, we like to go over what I've been experiencing in the property market, your chance to ask an experienced estate agent who's at the front line of what's going on, at least in Essex anyway, any questions you may have about buying or selling a property. And I'm hoping we could be doing a few more of these as the missus is now working some nights. So that gives me a bit more chance to interact with you guys. So if you are watching, please give the stream or the replay a thumbs up, and please let me know where you're watching this from as well. I'd love to know what part of the country or the world that you are watching this live stream from or on the replay. So pop in the comment below where you're from. Don't be scared to say hello. If you are in the live chat, we've got, well, when I used to do these every week, we had a lovely community of people that come in, help each other, answer questions, ask questions. Yeah, it was really, really good. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got a few questions which some people asked on my community post a little while ago. So we're going to go and answer those. I'm going to then tell you what I've been experiencing in the property market, maybe a few stories of what I've experienced over the last 5-6 weeks. That's been a bit funny, and also then get into a bit of a Q&A at the end. So do stick around for that if you do have any questions. Yeah, so here we go. First, we'll say hello, Leo. How you doing? How are you doing? Great to see you. Great. It has been a long time. Yeah, had a few changes with Mrs. work and stuff like that. So I haven't been able to be as regular as I would like. Yeah. So I'm pleased to be back. So I'm going to get into some questions which people asked on the community post. If you do have any more questions, please pop them in the comment section below, and I will get round to them. So the first one, forgive me, I wrote the questions down but didn't write the name of the person who asked this one. So I'm hoping you watch the live stream and you can see what I'm going to say. So buy a property now or wait has been a question which has been asked and answered by many, many people. And I'm just going to give you my opinion. It's not per se advice, because everyone, it moves for different reasons. So there isn't a one answer fits all for this, unfortunately. So if you are finding yourself in a position to be able to potentially buy a property, and I'm guessing if you're watching this, we are mainly aimed at first-time buyers. That's the whole point I started this channel, was to help first-time buyers buy a property, to help first-time buyers secure properties when things were manic during the pandemic, when they were getting exploited and all sorts. So if you do find yourself in a position where you think you could buy, I would first of all definitely speak to a mortgage broker. I've got one. If you do want to speak to one, just drop me an email, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk, and I can put you in contact with a really good, fully independent mortgage broker who can go over your affordability, because the mortgage market is changing all the time. Every week there are increases in interest rates, decreases, not just what the Bank of England are doing. The individual banks are adjusting their rates as more information, as different environmental factors come to light. They adjust their mortgage rate. So if you do want to speak to an independent mortgage broker, that's the email address. Drop me an email and I'll put you in contact with him or her. Depends. There's a few of them there, but they're a great company. So buying now or wait. I've always said on this channel, if you need to move or need to buy, you're not going to be moving for a number of years, and you're not overpaying, and you find the right property. Those 4 things, if you can tick all those 4 things, then there is very little reasons not to buy a property, especially if you can get it at the right price. Okay. And I know people will say, what about interest rates? Yeah, I get that. But if you need to move, this is what I'm answering here. If you need to move and you need to buy a property for whatever reason, where it's job relocation, or I don't know, your landlord's selling up and you can't afford rent elsewhere, but if there is that genuine need to move and you're able to do it, and you can find a property that ticks all of your needs, maybe not your wants. I said this on the channel months and months ago when COVID was all kicking off. A lot of people were trying to find the perfect house and not being able to find it because there was very little on the market. Buy the house you need, not the house you want. And especially while prices or mortgage interest rates are so high, there is no need, well, there should be no need to push your affordability any higher than what it needs to be by buying the house that you want rather than the house you need. So, yeah, buy the house you want, not the house you need. Make sure that you're not overpaying. And there's so many tools out there, so many tools that you can access to get what properties in the road have been on the market for, sold for. There's Chrome extensions that you can use for Rightmove to see how long a property's been on the market, what reductions and what date they're reduced. There's so much information out there that you can get your teeth into, which will help you make a decision as to if that property is overpriced or not. And offer what you feel it's worth. Just because a seller is asking for a certain amount of money doesn't mean you have to pay that. They are asking prices. A seller can ask whatever they want. It doesn't mean that's what you have to pay, no matter what the estate agent says. In an ideal world, you make an offer, the owner comes back with a counter, and providing you both meet somewhere where you're both happy, fantastic. But don't be forced, don't be pressured into paying more than what you feel the property is worth. And a key example of this is if a property's been on the market for more than 4 or 5 weeks, in my experience, even in this market where affordability is stretched and there isn't as many people looking as there was a couple of years ago, if you're not sold in 3 or 4 weeks or getting offers, then there is something wrong with the property price, or maybe even the estate agent who's maybe not pushing it out there as good as they could. And yeah, so do your research, see what else is about. But if a property's been on the market for more than 4 weeks, then I would be looking to make an offer on that property for what I feel it's worth, whether that be 5, 10, 15, 20% less than what it's being asked for. Now, I'm not saying that house prices are dropping 5, 10, 15, 20%, because some owners are putting their house on the market, or some agents are valuing properties or advising their clients to put it on the market for a lot of money over, so then they can come down so it looks like they've done the buyer a favor by dropping the price, which a little bit misleading, but it is happening out there. Doesn't mean that prices are dropping. It just means the owners are, or the agents and all the owners are trying to be clever by making the buyer think that they've got a deal by getting a lot of money off the price. So yeah, make sure you can afford it. Make sure you're not overpaying. And the next thing, be as sure as you can be that you're not going to need to sell in the immediate future. Now, if you are buying a property, then you will be probably getting a mortgage. If you're watching this channel, being a first-time buyer, you want to be fairly confident in your job status, which I know at the moment it can change on a daily basis depending on what new financial information is released. But at the moment, there isn't as the big redundancies that people have been predicting for the last year in terms of people losing their jobs. So we haven't had that yet, and hopefully it doesn't happen, because we don't want people losing their jobs. That's not an ideal situation. But we haven't had that, and I've gone off track and forgot where I was going to go. Yeah, so make sure you're comfortable in your job, that there's very little chance that you could lose it. I know that sounds really silly, really silly. Or make sure there's not going to be any major changes to your income. For example, maybe you're buying a house and you're planning to have a family soon. If that's the case, do you want to stretch your finances that far that when you've got another mouth to feed and maybe your other half's on maternity leave and your income has come down, that you may struggle? Then I would wait. Although if you do have a baby, you have to put that down when you do apply for a mortgage, and that does come off how much money you can afford. But I think that's probably the best thing to do, is if you do know you've got a big change in your life coming up, whether that be a job change where money's going down, job relocation where you might have to pay for more petrol, what have you, or a big life change like having a family, that can really make you think whether you should potentially think about buying a house or not. Okay. And I know there'd be reasons why you should buy a house if you're having a family. Maybe you need a bigger space, or you want a security, inheritance, what have you. But you really need to sit down and think, will this be the right thing for us with the extra expense and maybe limited income coming in each month? But if you can tick all 5 of those boxes, 4 or 5 of those boxes, and you have found the right one, you know you're not paying too much money, you've done your research to make sure that this is the best price, or I can get this at the best price that I need to make it work. And you're not going to foresee yourself having to move or needing to move, because you will be getting a mortgage, as I was saying before I went off track, and you will have a fixed term. And we're going to get onto fixed terms a little bit later on, but you'll have a 2, 3, 5, 10, however many years fixed term mortgage. And if you do look to move or have to sell and move before that fixed term has finished, you will be penalised with an early redemption fee. Sometimes if you port the mortgage, transfer the mortgage onto another property, then sometimes the lender will not do that. But generally, if you are buying another house or selling this house to maybe going to rent it or move back home, then there will be a penalty to pay. But a mortgage broker would be able to advise you on that. I'm not one. That's just my opinion. Got to watch what I say. Yeah. So buy now or wait, really, really personal question. And there is only one answer for each person. Does that make sense? Yeah. There's no one answer. There's a different answer for each question. And if you can just sort of sit down and decide what's most important to you, whether it is paying off a mortgage, getting into a large amount of debt, because obviously a mortgage is a massive, massive loan, then yeah, make the right choice based on your circumstances. Don't listen to anyone but yourself, because the buck stops with you. You can't blame me or your friends or your family or anybody else if you buy a house and it's the wrong decision. You've got to do it based on what you feel is right for you. Because if it does go peak tong, then you can say, well, that was my decision. I made it. I'm going to stick by it. Good or bad. Good or bad. So yeah, buy now or wait. Very, very personal. It will be different for everyone. But general rule of thumb, if you can afford it, you're not overpaying, you don't see yourself moving in at least your fixed term mortgage time, and you're secure in your job, or you don't envisage any major changes that would affect your income, then yeah, if you find the perfect house or the house that you need rather than the house you want, then by all means go ahead. But just be wary that life does throw curveballs at you. It can throw job losses. It can throw children. It can throw absolutely anything. So make sure you are prepared before you do decide to buy a property. And that's what this channel is for. If you have any questions about it, you know where to come. You know where to come. Hi Paul, how are we? Thanks for joining the live stream. If you haven't already, guys, it'd be great if you give the live stream a thumbs up. Just helps YouTube know that we are live, which yeah, we would like YouTube to know, and it might push it out there to a few more people that this video or this live stream may help. And again, if you just joined in or tuned in, if you are watching, please leave in the comment section where in the country you're watching from, just so I get an idea on whereabouts you guys are situated, and then you can tell me what you're experiencing in your part of the world, as I will with you once we get through this little question and answer session. So one of the other questions I got was negotiating on price. And again, let me just get it up on my screen here. That was from Aikin Oi 2171. So thank you for the question. You also asked about the buy now or wait, so hopefully I've answered that one for you. But negotiating on price, we covered it a little bit on the last question, but key indicators that a property is overpriced, which gives you great ammunition for making an offer, is the length of time it's been on the market. And as I say, 3-4 weeks, longer than that, then there is probably something wrong. If the agent and the owner have priced the property right, there are still more than enough people buying properties who are able to buy at the moment. And I'll get into what I'm experiencing shortly. But yeah, if a property's been on the market for say 4 weeks and it hasn't been reduced, then they are prime targets for viewing if it's out of your price bracket, doing your research first, obviously beforehand, making sure that you know what your top limit is for this particular property, and then trying a cheeky bid. Now, depending on how much interest that property has had, because some houses, they sit on the market for 2, 3, 4 weeks with not a sniff, and then all of a sudden something changes and you can get an influx of viewings. And if that's not the case, where the property is quite quiet, and generally agents will say there's been some interest, if they're a bit vague with their answers, then chances are they're probably bullshitting you. So yeah, very, very rarely will agents give if there isn't any viewings or any interest in the property, they won't go, nah, there's no interest. They just won't say that, because they want you to feel like there is other people that may snatch this property from you and give you that fear of missing out, which, don't believe it. We're not in that market at the moment, but just, if you've done your research, you'll know whether that property is getting interest or not. If it's too much money, it won't be. It won't be. So Do your research. I say this a lot, don't I say this a lot. It's like a broken record. But yeah, but if it's been on the market for 3, 4 weeks, that'll be one I'll be looking at taking an offer, making an offer on. Don't worry too much about insulting the owner. Now, if the property is on the market for too much money and you do come in with a reasonable price for the property, which again, it may be insulting to the owner, but if you frame it in such a way to the estate agent, because they want to do a deal at the same time, okay, they will more or just they will just as much want to talk you up with price and talk their seller down to try and secure a deal. They want to make sure that both people are happy. Um, so they'll try and talk you up and they'll try and talk the owner down to meet in somewhere in the middle. But just don't let them sort of schmooze you into paying too much. Have that figure set in your mind, the max you want to pay, and don't pay a penny more than it. Honestly, it can be very easy to get carried away when you're this close to securing something. But if it is over your budget, remember, you're going to be the one lumbered with the mortgage for 25, 30, 35 years. So yeah, you've got to be comfortable with the price you're paying. But definitely frame your offer. I like the saying, it's a case that you can't offer more rather than you won't offer more. And I think that's quite a powerful line, which I've used a few times when speaking to sellers when buyers have said, my mortgage running, let me go up to this amount of money. Then that's a nice way of framing that with the current situation with mortgage rates, etc. I just physically can't afford to pay what the owner wants. If I could, I would, but I just can't. And that sounds so much better than I'm not paying that because it's too much money. So it's all about framing your offer and putting it in a way that the agent can translate to the seller, which makes them want to help you out. And a lot of people will buy and sell from people because they like someone. So if you've done the viewing and you've gotten really well with the seller, and I've said this before in many a video when viewing a house, try and build a rapport with the seller while you're on the viewing, even the agent if the agent's there as well, because people like to help nice people. And an owner, if they see a young person who's struggling to get on the market, they may be more inclined to try and help you out rather than an investor looking to make money or something like that. So I would build a rapport with the estate agent and the owner. I would certainly look at how you frame your offer to the agent or to the owner. It's all about how you market yourself and how you present yourself as a nice person, as that you're not trying to screw the owner down. You're just trying to do the best for you, but within your limits. And that, I would say, is probably the best way to put an offer forward. If you can speak to the owner direct, then I think that would be great. But that's not always possible. Not always possible. Where are we? Hi there, Ashley. Hi, everyone. Glad to see the live stream back. Me too, Ashley. Me too. It's been a while, isn't it? It's been a while. I'm going to try and do it at least once a week. That may change from week to week as the wife has different work pattern now. So yeah, it will be up and down, but I'm going to try and do one once a week. And hi there, Keith, who's watching from Glasgow. Your area is still mental as so few houses on the market. Yes, and this is why when you look at the average house price of the UK, it may say that house prices are dropping on average. But as I've said lots of times on this live stream previously, is our country is made up, or our United Kingdom is made up of so many different micro markets where house prices in one road are completely different to what they're doing in another road. I live in an area where there's a very affluent area about 3 miles down the coastline, which for some reason, it just attracts money. It attracts people with money. And when there was the crash in 2008, this small seaside town was, I'm not going to say completely protected from the crash, but it was certainly cocooned. It was wrapped up. It wasn't as harsh for them because it was a very popular area and the people that bought there were quite wealthy. So a percentage here or there in terms of pricing doesn't really affect them too much as it does us, unfortunately. Yeah, so Glasgow, got no experience of that. No experience of that at all. I've never even been to Scotland. So, but yeah, I have heard that some parts of Northern Ireland, some parts of Scotland and up north are still quite hot property markets, whereas a lot of other areas are experiencing the complete opposite. So there is that swing, which is why we get averages, which isn't a true reflection of where you are living. So dive deep into the figures, the reports, see where you're living, see what the change in prices are, to make your own informed decision. So the last question we had come in was fixing a mortgage, 3, 5, or 10 years. This came from, who did it come from? Adam P. So Adam, thanks for that. Because with inflation numbers today being lower than expected, which is great news, but it doesn't mean that prices are coming down for our normal stuff. It just means they're not going up as quick. If I had a mortgage renewal coming up in 6 months, would I go for a 2, 5, or 2 or 5 year fix, or go on variable while the world figures out what's going on with inflation? Asking for a friend. We're locked in until December 2027 at a super low rate. Thank God. Good for you, mate. Good for you. So if I was coming to an end, and I very nearly would be coming to an end of my 2-year fixed, because I remortgaged about 18 months ago. I was going through the remortgage at a 2-year fixed, for 1.9 something percent. And I just had a quick look and I thought, oh, for 5 years, it's only an extra £6-7 a month. So I changed to the 5 year. And by God, I'm glad I did. I really am glad I did. So I think I'm just short of 2% for a 5-year fixed. Yeah. So this, I can only liken this decision to what Martin Lewis says about fixing your energy prices. Obviously, there's a few more fixed rate deals coming out for your gas and electric now. And I think what he says, it depends how risk adverse you are, or if you value stability more than maybe rolling the dice. So if you are somebody who likes to know what your monthly payments are going to be for a set amount of time, 3, 5, 10 years, and you're happy to pay that amount of money, then fix for as long as you want, providing you know that obviously you're going to be paying a lot of interest over that time period. And again, this is my opinion. This isn't financial advice, because I'm not a mortgage broker or a financial advisor. This is purely my opinion. So don't make any financial decisions based on my opinion. 3, 5, or 10 years, I don't know. I think we're going to be experiencing a new level of normal interest rates over the next couple of years. We're not going to be seeing sub 2% mortgages for the vast majority of buyers. Maybe in the future, if you've got a very high level of equity in your property, you might start seeing close to 2% in the future. And again, I don't know. I've got no crystal ball. But unless you've got a large amount of equity or a large deposit to put down, I think the new normal will be somewhere between sort of 3 and 4%, maybe 3 and 4.5%, depending on your level of deposit to put down. So if your friends are being quoted, or you're being quoted sort of 6%, 6.5%, which some have been quoting for 95% loan to values, then if you can afford it and you're happy to pay it, and you want to take the risk that interest rates may come down in that 3 years, then fix for 3. But if you value stability, if you know that your money isn't going to change to the best of your knowledge for 5 or 10 years, and you value stability over the potential benefit of cheaper interest rates in the nearer future, then you go for the longer term. That's what I would do. And at the moment, if it was me looking to renew right now, I would probably fix for 2 years and then see where we are then. But I don't like paying more money if I don't have to. And for me personally, I'd be gutted if I fixed for 5 or 10 years, interest rates come down to, so I fixed at 6% or 5%, and then they come down, I could get something for 4.5%. I'd be gutted that for the next however many years, I'd be paying a lot more than what I needed to. But that's just me. At the time, I'd be probably quite happy that I'm paying that amount of money, because I know what my payments will be. But yeah, I'd probably go for a 2 or 3 year fixed, and that comment may come back to bite me in the backside. But I'm fortunate enough that I've got 3.5 years left on my fixed rate. So hopefully in 3.5 years' time, interest rates will be a bit more palatable, a new normal of between 3 and 4%, which I think is a lot more manageable for people. And as Martin Lewis has said time and time again, the ultra low interest rates we've had since the crash in 2008 are not normal. My generation, I'm 36, near 37, have not experienced normal interest rates. We've been at a below average interest rate for the Bank of England and mortgage rates since 2008. So it's going to be a massive culture shock to a lot of people when they come out of their fixed terms. I mean, I'm one of them. I'm going to be one of them that I'm not going to be used to a 4% mortgage or a 5% mortgage when my fixed term ends. So there's going to be a lot of people yeah. In fact, there's a mortgage broker online, Glenn Russell, lovely chap. I don't recommend him personally because I've got a local guy, but Glenn Russell, he's on TikTok. Yeah, he done a video recently that said if you are coming to the end of your fixed rate or you are on a super low fixed rate mortgage at the moment, try overpaying your mortgage for as much as you can without being penalised to try and get your level of equity up, so your loan to value is a better percentage. So you should be eligible for a lower interest rate. But that's what his advice is. You guys may want to put it in a savings account as interest rates are going up, so you get some interest and then pay a lump sum off. But yeah, that's what Glenn Russell has suggested as a potential way of doing things. But me, I would probably do 3 years. That would be my opinion if I was coming up to a fixed ending. Only because I'd be gutted if they did drop and I was paying more money than what I needed to. 5 would probably be what I'd call the Goldilocks zone, where if they do start to come down, it's not too long to wait in terms of before you should maybe get a better deal. But I think 10 years, yeah, that's too much of a commitment for me. Too much for a commitment. 5 is probably the Goldilocks. So that's what I'd probably do. Where are we? Ashley can confirm the Belfast market is still hot. Yep. Properties appear to be staying on the market for longer before going sale agreed, but still selling. Yeah, still selling, Ashley. That's yeah. No matter what's going on, there will be hotspots. Always is, and there's always people with money. When everyone else is skint, there's always people with money who are willing to spend it. It's that top 1% we keep hearing about. She goes on to say, Reno projects in my budget can be on the market for months, very little demand, probably due to lack of tradesmen and the cost of materials going up too. So the Reno budgets, the renovations, they're the ones sticking around. That would make sense. Obviously, the cost of materials, tradesmen want more money because their bills are going up, their materials are going up, their staff wages are going up. So yeah, we've sold quite a few ones that need work, but they seem to be going towards first-time buyers who are maybe compromising on the level of finish of their property to be able to get on the ladder. So do a place up slowly rather than buying the finished article. And I'll go on to that a little bit later, what I've been experiencing. No Detox, how are you? Hi, Lee. Love your videos. First time I've seen your live show. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Where are you from in the world? Let me know in the comment section. That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, I'm going to try and do more of these live streams. So if you just joined in, let me know where you're watching from and please give it a thumbs up. That'd be fantastic. Quick question from Peter. Hi, Lee. Question for you. My area, I'm seeing reductions on houses in less desirable areas of town, whereas houses in nice areas are still holding strong. Same in your neck of the woods. Yeah. Every area that I deal with has experienced some sort of drop in price. The difference is by how much. Now, my 2-bedroom semi-detached market has gone down 10%. Since July last year, 10%. We were selling dated 2-bedroom semi-bungalows for 250, hand over fist, day in, day out. This year, they're more around the 225, 220, 225 sort of mark. So they're struggling. But the smaller 3-bedroom starter houses that typically landlords were buying the last few years, 3-bedroom mid-terraced, 2-bedroom end terrace, larger 2 up, 2 downs, those ones haven't had, in my area, the massive drop that we were maybe predicting. So it's interesting. It is interesting. Some types of properties are struggling more. And for us, the higher end, which is probably anything north of probably 350 for my office anyway. I'm only going by my office. I can only give you figures and facts from my office, not anywhere else in the country. But we expect anything over 350 is taking a hell of a lot longer to sell, if selling at all, because we've got a lot of people who are in big houses or bigger houses looking to downsize, and that market for people wanting bigger houses isn't as big as what it was in the last couple of years because of interest rates. They may want to be able to buy, but they physically can't afford to do it at the moment. But yeah, we're still doing all right, and I'll get on to what I'm experiencing in terms of transaction volumes, prices, etc., viewings, as we wrap up the live stream towards the end. Actually goes on to say, yep, still selling, just not as quickly as when I began looking back in spring last year. Yep. Yeah. I think Rightmove backed that up, that it is taking longer for houses to go under offer. I think we were at like 13 to 16 days a couple of years ago. And now we're probably at sort of that 30 odd day, which is what I pretty much said. If a property is on for more than sort of 4 weeks, then there is probably something wrong with it. So that would be what I'd probably agree with there. Tom, hi Lee, North Somerset here. How's the market over there, Tom? How is it over there? So I'm going to tell you what's occurring in my neck of the woods. So I had a look at, hang on, let me just have a quick drink because it's hot. So I had to close the windows because of car noise and whatnot. Right, there we go. Let's get rid of that comment. So we don't want that. We've done that. I've done all the questions that were sent in to me. So if you do have another one, pop it in the comment section. And if you're watching on the replay, pop it in the comment section or drop me an email and I'll reply to you once I see it. So I had a look at our transaction levels and comparing them to the first 6 months of last year. And genuinely, this doesn't just include my office, this includes our sister office as well. So I've got access to their information as well. But as a company, there are two offices, we are selling very similar numbers of property compared to last year. And last year was a struggle, especially the last half. But the first 6 months, January to June, when the market was better, this is before Liz Truss done a budget and interest rates started skyrocketing, but things were starting to slow down. We are on there or thereabouts. Some months we sell more, some months we sell less. And yeah, we're probably very, very level in terms of what the amount of transaction levels. Now, in terms of sales falling through, and I'm touching an oak table here because I don't want this to change. Our fall throughs, so our abortive sales, are no worse than what they were last year as well. Now, this would be interesting to compare the second half of last year when we had Liz Truss's budget, where we had quite a few fall throughs after the initial shock of the interest rates going up. But the first 6 months, we are no worse off than what we were this time last year. And in fact, somehow our pipeline, which is the amount of money my company has in terms of agreed sales for commission, is actually grown by 10% in the last 4 weeks. So it almost sounds like the houses we're selling are more expensive if we are selling the same amount of houses because we've got 10% more in our pipeline. I don't quite know whether we're selling a little bit more higher end stuff or maybe, I don't know, maybe we're charging too. I don't know, but the figures state we're roughly about the same in terms of how many properties we're selling, and our company money coming in has actually gone up by 10%. I would also add to that though, that one of the things which may be why that's gone up is because transactions are taking, for us at the moment, a little bit longer than normal. So we might find that we're selling more than what we're completing on, which isn't a bad thing. As long as we've got sales coming in and properties aren't going abortive, I've got no complaints about that. It just means it's taking a little bit longer for those houses to complete, and then for the money to go into my boss's account and then into my account. So yeah. No detox. You're from Oxfordshire. Not in the market for buying a house though, but your videos are always very informative. I try to be. And I know there's a lot of people that watch that Moving Home with Charlie, and I try and watch as much of his stuff as he does, but he does a hell of a lot of videos. I can't keep up with it all. I'm just trying to he's got his view of where he gets his data from and his friends in sort of financial institutions, etc. I like telling you what I'm experiencing in my small part of the country. And there is definitely different views from me and him. But he's got access to a lot more data than what I have. So that might be why. But if you are looking to buy in North Essex near me, then you probably want to listen to the people in that area rather than other people like experts or media people that are given a whole country view. But yeah, I try to be as honest. And I'll go back to my saying, honesty over short-term gain. That's going to be one of my sayings for this channel, is not to deliver information just to get views and to get clicks and subscribers. It is purely to be open and honest, and I hope that the following will grow naturally because of honest information that's coming out there. And that's what I'm trying to do. Short term game, not interested in that. I'd rather be honest, and have some long-term subscribers and people who are watching my video, even though you have no intention of buying a house at the moment. So, but yeah, so transaction levels are steady. Abortive sales are steady. Touch wood. House prices, the lower end of the market, those smaller houses, smaller family homes seem to be holding up in terms of the amount we're selling and the price that they're achieving. It is less than last year, no question, but it's not 10, 15, 20% less than last year. We are still getting very, very close to the older Victorian style 3-bedroom mid terrace or semis or 2 up, 2 downs. They are holding firm, because what I think's happened is first time buyers who were maybe looking last year, who could potentially afford maybe a 3-bedroom detached house, which I would probably say is like a third time purchase. Before money was cheap, my parents, they started off in a flat, then they bought a small house, then bought the bigger house, and then the bigger house. Whereas my generation, if you're around 36, 37, we've become accustomed to skipping at least the first house, most of us, if we're able to, and going straight into the second or third time house, the larger 2-bedroom or the larger 3-bedroom detached house. Whereas now I'm finding that those first time buyers are more buying 2-bedroom flats or 2-bedroom houses or 3-bedroom smaller mid terrace or semis. So it's that's why there seems to be, I'm not going to say a huge demand, but more demand for those properties than the 3-bedroom detaches, 4-bedroom detaches, which were selling so well during the pandemic for the race for space and all that spin that was delivered during that time. But yeah, the top end and bungalows are somewhat struggling. Now, the only thing I think of, bungalows are generally bought by retired people. And when I'm moving retired people to my area, they're generally selling a large family home. And as I've just mentioned, I'm experiencing that those larger family homes are struggling to sell. And that may be the same case, or the case be the same where they're moving from as well. And a lot of my buyers come from London, Chelmsford, Romford, those sorts of areas, work their way down off the M25, down the A12, down to where I am. So if they're struggling to sell their house, that means they then can't buy the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom bungalows, the downsizing bungalows, or the 2-bedroom semi bungalows. So owners are having to price theirs as competitively as possible. So they do attract the few buyers that are able to buy at the moment, that type of property. So smaller houses, flats, providing the flat's got a decent lease and not a horrible ground rent charge, or a ground rent that can go up every 10 years without any limit on it. So be careful if you're buying leasehold, double check that before you spend any money. Yeah, lower end is doing really, really well. It's the 350 upwards that is struggling where I am in Essex. So let me know what you're finding as well. That'd be great. Jason from Glasgow. Glasgow property is lovely. Add 500k for zone 3 London. So yeah, that's London could be crazy. Absolutely crazy. Tom is finding it a variable picture. Generally, property is taking longer to sell, 100%. Some people are taking their houses off the market rather than make a break. Yeah. So you've got vendors or sellers. I have this conversation about 3 or 4 times, and I'm going to tell you a story about a valuation today I've done. I actually talked myself out of taking a house on the market, because for her to do what she wanted to do with me would have been the wrong decision for her, which I'll get into very shortly, just after this. But we are finding that you've got owners that want to move and need to move. The owners that need to move are generally, not always, generally pricing as competitively as they can to be able to facilitate a move. Sometimes they can't do it. Maybe they bought 2 years ago at the peak and got a mortgage to pay off, but they will generally put it on for whatever price they can to get sold, which makes them be able to move on with their lives. You've then got the owners that want to sell. So there's no pressing urgency to actually move. There may not be in any financial difficulty. It might just be a case, if we get that sort of money, we'll go and buy a place in Spain, or we'll buy a smaller bungalow, or what have you. Those owners tend to priced for more than what the property's worth. And they go, if I get it, great. If not, I'll keep it on the market or I'll take it off and try again next year. Those are the sellers which I try so hard to try and wheedle through and filter through so I don't have them on the market. And I'm going to go through this conversation now, actually. So I've done a valuation today with somebody that's been on the market for 4 weeks with a local agent, a decent local agent. They were on for a guide price. I won't give you the real price just in case you find out where I am, track it down, and tell this owner that I'm talking about her. 350 to 360, let's say. The guide price was 350 to 360. And they've been on the market 4 weeks, and they were going to give their agent 2 weeks notice in 2 weeks' time to end the contract to go multi, which I think multi-agency, especially in this market, I don't think is the right thing to do, by the way, if you are a seller. I really don't. And she said, right, after the contract's finished with this agent, I'm going to change that sole agency contract to a multi, put it on the market with potentially you and another estate agent, and I'm going to put the price on for 360. And I said, oh, why is that? She goes, well, because that's what the other agent told me to do. The other agent that's trying to win her business. I was like, did they provide you any advice on that at all? They just said, no. If I want to get 250, I should put it on for 350. I should put it on for 360 and then be negotiable. I was like, okay, right. So what's the figure that you want to achieve? Well, 350. I was like, okay, well, if somebody came in at 349 or 348, would you say no? She went, well, probably not. I said, well, okay, well, look. So what you're telling me is that the 350 isn't fixed. What are your intentions? What are you looking to do? Well, I'm looking to buy up north. I said, have you found anywhere? She went, no. So I said, how do you know you need that 350? So you start having a massive conversation with people. You get a reason then where a lot of the time when an owner wants a certain figure, they've just based it on what they would like, not what they actually need. And it turned out that this owner could quite comfortably take less money and move to better her life if she didn't change estate agents, didn't put the price up and put it on with me and another estate agent. I told her to drop the guide price to 350 to 360, keep it at 350. And I said, have you had viewings? She said, yeah, I've got viewings. I said, well, great. Well, that's telling me that your guide price, which is actually advertised at 350, and it's not until you read the description that it says guide price 350 to 360, is working and you're getting people through the front door. And she goes, well, I actually had an offer as well. I said, right, what was the offer? She went, 350. I went, that is the market telling you that is what your property is worth. Bite their hand off and take it. She went, oh, I should have, shouldn't I? I was like, yes, and your agent should have told you to do that as well. And I spent the next half an hour saying that, look, the best thing you can do right now is drop the guide price of 350 to 360, put it on for 350. Don't let me take it on the market. Don't let the other agent take it on the market. And I'm pretty confident that you'll be sold in the next 3 or 4 weeks before that agent's sole agency runs out, because she's getting viewings and she's actually had a bloody offer at that price. So that tells me that it's the right price. She couldn't quite understand why I was talking myself out of business, but if she was to put it on the market with me, other people would know that it's been on the market before. It would see that it's multi-agency. It's going to make her seem more desperate, and those offers are going to be less than 350. They're going to be 340, 330. So there are some honest agents out there who are advising owners, and there are other agents, even in my town, who are saying whatever they need to say to win somebody's business, even if it is the total wrong thing to do. And again, that's me saying, I want to be honest over short-term gain. And that is where I'm going to sum up this live stream. Okay. There are some decent estate agents out there. I am one of them. If you do want any help or advice for buying or selling your property, please feel free to contact me either in the comment section below or via the email address on the screen right now. I really want to help as many people buy a property at some point. It doesn't have to be now, because everyone has a different time frame of where they want to buy a house. If you're just watching this live stream, just I don't know, pass the time. Maybe EastEnders is on or something. You don't want to watch that, but try and take on as much information, not just from me, but from other people as well, people in your family, and just absorb as much as you can. So when the time is right for you to buy, or sell. If you may have bought a property over the last 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, so maybe a few of you have bought, and you may be looking for advice on selling. Reach out to me. I want to help. I really want to help, and that's where I'm going to leave this live stream. I've loved every 45 of these minutes. Please like if you haven't already, guys. It's really, really important, and I really love the fact that we're getting sort of 20 odd people viewing, which I didn't expect after not doing a live stream for a really, really long time. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've rabbited it on long enough. I'm going to go and watch telly. Have a lovely evening. Take care, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.